members of the public who would like to provide comments?
Chair Meredith, we have no members of the public wanting to provide comments.
Then we'll move on to the next item, item 3, which has 2 parts. Presentation A is Youth Commission and Artist Recognition for Duncan Arcade Wayfinding Mural, and Commissioner Cowdery will be presenting this item.
Thank you. The last year, despite its hardships, has created many silver linings. The flourishing of our mural program downtown is one of them, and a personal silver lining for me was the opportunity to work with a dynamic Walnut Creek Youth Leadership Commission on the wayfinding mural for the Duncan Arcade murals. The project first started last spring when the Youth Commission approached the Community Arts Foundation about doing a collaborative mural for Community Service Day. But as the world continued to go sideways, in the following weeks, it was clear that the difficult logistics of painting a mural while social distancing, coupled with the eventual cancellation of Community Service Day projects, required the youth commissioners to switch gears. With some quick, creative thinking, the original idea evolved into a wayfinding signage for the newly installed Duncan Arcade mural. The Youth Commission worked hard to select 11 young artists from the community to create the collaborative mural and assigned a letter and a theme to each. Themes included public art, landscapes, festivals, unity, relationships, downtown, school sports and school arts, parks, and youth. Some of the images were created digitally, while others were done with paint. And then the final images were all photoshopped into the mural by a designer, Henry Cowdery, also a Walnut Creek native, also my son. One of the artists, Francesca Romero from Las Lomas High School, described the experience. Creating a mural during a pandemic was never something I think I would have been able to predict a year ago. The Youth Commission made doing a socially distant mural easy, and the process provided a level of collaboration. I love murals and what they can bring to cities, and I think the work done by everyone was a unique reflection of Walnut Creek through the eyes of the artists. The mural is reproduced on vinyl and hangs on North Main above the entrance to Duncan Arcade. And then there's a second mural on Locust Street Garage with an arrow pointing to the back entrance of the arcade. I want to personally thank the Youth Leadership Commissioners and all the artists who worked on this project. And now I'd like to turn it over to Dina and Hadil, 2 members of the Youth Leadership Commission who helped put this project together.
Thank you, Glennis. So I am so proud of all of the amazing artists and commissioners who collaborated with me on this project. You know, it's not easy working during COVID, especially in the Zoom world, and we've seen how difficult it is to organize projects on the commission virtually and also to stay motivated. But we've managed to do it this year with the Duncan Arcade project as well as a couple others. And I want to give a huge thank you to Glennis for our collaboration, and I hope that the commission can continue working in the city with other groups in the future.
So this was an exciting project, and it was even better working with so many wonderful, passionate, and inspiring artists. The use of color, story, and unique technique from each artist made this something truly memorable, and yet another example of the powerful and talented youth we have in this community. Also, a big thanks to those who provided the resources and helped us take part in this great opportunity to make Walnut Creek even more lively. This is something to look at and smile, a representation of diversity, inclusion, memories, and family. So I'm very extremely proud to have gotten to work and be a part of it.
Kevin, do we have a slide of the mural? I thought there was going to be a slide.
Please hold. Commissioner Cowdery, we also have some of the artists here if they wanted to join the Zoom session. I'm not sure if that was what you anticipated, but they're here as well.
That's great. Do any of the artists want to say anything? I see a few of them. So here's a highlight of some of the artists. So I can tell you that, so each letter of the words Duncan murals were used. And so letter D was, the theme was downtown, and that was done by Indy Lee. U was unity, and that was by Megan Sim. N was festivals, and that was Chloe Anderson. C was schools and sports, which was Tony Liu. A was city public art, who was Allie McKay, who's also done another mural by Sasa in downtown. N was relationships, which was Katrina Lanner. A was arts in school, which was Naomi Moss. R was the youth commission, and the commissioner, Rebecca Joseph, who's going to join us later, or maybe is here already, did that. Culture was Emma Payne, and that was letter C. Then A in arcade was landscapes by Francesca Romero. D was city parks by Jonah Mateo, and E was relationships by Saturn Howe. So thank you to all the amazing artists that contributed to this project. Is there a picture of the mural?
Yeah, Commissioner Cowdery, we don't have that image at this point. So if we're able to locate it later, perhaps during the commissioner announcements, we'll track that down for you. We don't have it at the moment.
Okay, I might have it too.
If you happen to have it, you could email it to Cindy, and she can post it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, we're ready, I believe, for the next item. You're still on mute, Chair Meredith.
I'm sorry. The next item under presentations is Youth Leadership Commission proposal for a youth seat on the Arts Commission. This next item is a proposal for a youth seat on the Arts Commission by the Walnut Creek Youth Leadership Commission. Commissioners Adil Jajardi, Dina Mirmatali-Oshi, and I apologize for that, and Rebecca Joseph will be making the presentation.
Great, can I share my screen? Okay. It says host has disabled.
It's coming up.
Great, thank you. Share it. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Great.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Today we will be discussing a proposal to add a youth seat on the Arts Commission. So this youth seat can be filled by any youth member of the community, so not specifically the youth commissioners, but the Youth Leadership Commissioner is proposing this project as part of a policy project for the year. So we're going to start by giving you some insight into how this project came to be. Then we'll share the reasons we think this addition would be beneficial. And finally, we'll share results from a youth survey we conducted and end with our next steps. Next slide, please. So to give you some background information, the Youth Commission votes on 3 projects to work on every year in task forces. And one of the projects we voted on was a policy project. So we wanted to do something that would leave a tangible impact on the community and empower youth to pursue interest in local government. The Youth Commission gives 15 teens the opportunity to do so every year. So expanding youth involvement in local government will benefit even more people. And the Youth Commission also hasn't done a policy project before. So first, we spoke to the Pleasanton Youth Commission in December, since they already have a non-voting youth member on 4 of their commissions as of February 2013. And they introduced an ordinance to amend the Pleasanton Municipal Code, which is what we will also be doing for the city of Walnut Creek. So speaking of the ordinance and municipal code, we took a look at the Walnut Creek Municipal Code specifically and typed out changes we wanted to make pertaining to the potential addition of the youth member. So we wanted the youth commission to work with council in reviewing the applicants. However, it is ultimately the council's vote to appoint them, as is similar for the adult commissioners. And we also want the youth member to have preferential voting rights, which is also outlined here. And we continue to add and underline specificities for the youth member. Next slide, please. Such as the term being up to 2 years and several qualifications. Of course, the youth member cannot be a registered voter if they are under 18, but shall be a Walnut Creek resident. We also wanted to include a section about seat vacancy, which may be a possible scenario if there are no applications for a particular commission, or if we find the applicants to not be qualified for the position. In that case, we have 2 options. So the seat can be left vacant for the duration of the term, or could be filled by a youth commissioner who is qualified. And the municipal code includes sections for each of the different commissions, as you know. Next slide, please. So in the bottom here, this is an excerpt detailing that the youth member would be at least a high school freshman at the time of their appointment, just like that of the youth commission. And after meeting with all of the commissions, we will draft the actual ordinance that includes, all of the whereas statements to be voted upon and passed, hopefully, by City Council. And now I will hand it over to Rebecca.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Adil, for covering the background information and the ordinance. I will now be going into our mission statements and why youth should be on these commissions. So 2 weeks ago, the Policy Task Force sent out a survey to many of the local high schools within Walnut Creek to gain more perspective from the broader youth of Walnut Creek. The consensus that we have reached, the previous slide, Dina. The consensus that we have reached after going through the data further reinforced why we as a commission took on this municipal change. And as you can see on the side, the youth want to be more involved in the Walnut Creek community. And by opening up a preferential voting seats on the commissions, it allows an additional avenue for youth to be heard and also to learn. Now transitioning to why we should have youth on the commission. The main point boils down to the fact that myself and my peers have been influenced and shaped by the arts and mural in Walnut Creek. And the most notable one to me is the Hand of Peace right across the public library. The art symbolizes the necessity of diversity and the challenges of achieving global nonviolence. And I don't want to go into the details of what we as a nation and as a community have faced over the past year, but pieces like these give me hope, because even in these bleak and isolated times, I find solidarity and solace in the community of Walnut Creek and the art we produce. Additionally, many of the youth have already been involved in the art aspect of the community. As Ms. Cowdery was talking about earlier, the Youth Commission, along with Rebound, installed the Duncan arcade mural. And what really stood out to me, coming from someone who worked both on the mural itself and behind the scenes of seeing it installed, was the fact that when we asked all those involved why they applied, a common theme ran through most of the answers. And it was similar to the story that I shared earlier. The beauty of Walnut Creek has shaped and inspired the youth to want to not only to want to further the beauty of Walnut Creek for the next generation.
Okay, thank you so much, Rebecca. As there was a small introduction made earlier in regards to the result of our youth survey, I will now be going ahead to dive into that further and into the statistics. So we sent out a youth survey to several high schools that have students who reside in Walnut Creek and asked them a few questions to gauge interest from our youth in our community. Now, what we saw was that the youth of Walnut Creek who filled out the form were asked to be completely honest with their results and responses. And to start off, we decided to ask how many students were interested in the idea of being a youth member of the commission. As seen here, 44.8% confidently said yes, while those who were unsure, the 37.9%, said maybe. Then we have students who knew that they just would not be interested and passionate about it and responded no. Another thing we saw was, another question we asked was that we asked our surveyors to choose commissions that they believe themselves to be knowledgeable and experienced enough to become a member of. All commissions presented had several students who were confident in their ability to become youth members. And although Parks and Open Spaces has a slightly higher percentage, it seems students are spread out very similarly on the rest. Once again, this comes to show that out of the couple students who saw and received this form, many of them saw themselves becoming members on a commission. Now moving on to why the youth are qualified. So there is a concern that, for instance, a student may not be as passionate, but that's the reason students choose to apply for a youth seat. And as Hadil mentioned earlier, youth seats that are not filled can be vacant, and those who are interviewed and we notice that they're not as passionate will not be placed in that position. They truly want to learn and get involved. And not only that, these interviews will show with our questions as well as advice on the council, we will see if they, deserve the spot, because we don't want to put a student who is, we don't want to put a student who doesn't have much knowledge on the subject on your commissions. Youth bring a different perspective to the commissions. There are parts of the city that youth have been introduced to, that have lived through, that adults have not. And it's because of this that they make a perfect representation on your commissions. Many students have done great work for the city, volunteer work, holding jobs in our city, running many projects, working with adults on those projects, and running them themselves. One example of youth in our local government would be the Walnut Creek Youth Commission, which began based off of the idea that students and youth are qualified to get involved in their community and in their local government. So we have some quotes here from our survey. We reached out to a few of them. And one person, Isabel Sturgis, who is a 10th grader, mentioned youth do not always get many opportunities to extend their knowledge on a subcategory of local government that they are passionate about. Another student, Hasti Honari, 10th grade, mentioned, I think youth bring a perspective to the commissions of Walnut Creek that may otherwise not always be taken into consideration. If I were to be given an opportunity to do something I am passionate about in my local government, I would dedicate myself to it fully.
Thank you, Dina, for covering those last few slides and leaving us with some very inspiring words from our survey. Before we wrap up, as Dina gets to the last slide, I just want to talk about our next steps regarding this municipal change. So first, we will be meeting with all the commissions as we are doing right now, and that should wrap up on June 7th with the Parks and Rec Commission. Next, over the summer, we will work with the city attorney to crystallize our ordinance. Then we will meet with the city council to present our finalized ordinance. And then finally, we will enact the change the Youth Commission and the broader youth hope to see, changing the municipal code to allow youth on these commissions. And I just want to clarify that we don't have a set date regarding the final municipal changes yet, because we want to meet with each and every commission and hear their input before finalizing the dates.
Okay, so are there any questions, comments, or concerns that us three can answer?
I'll go. Thank you for your presentation. It was really well done and very interesting. And I have lots of questions, but the first one, how many students participated in your survey?
Sure, yeah. We had, there's one. Sorry, Rebecca. We had about 30 students respond to our survey.
Oh, wow. And were they from different schools or one school in particular? Or
we had students from, I'm going to let Rebecca answer this.
I'm so sorry I keep on cutting you off, Dina, but thank you. So we sent them out to Carondelet, Northgate, and the 4 schools within the Acalani School District, Las Lomas, Acalanes High School, Campo Lindo, and Miramani. For the schools that were not directly located in Walnut Creek, we made sure that the participants who filled them out were Walnut Creek citizens, or people who lived here in Walnut Creek.
When you guys were doing your research, and I noticed that you looked to see what Pleasanton was doing with their youth leadership commissioners. What did you learn from them that you think we should adopt here, other than adding a youth commissioner to each commission? What stuck out as a positive aspect of what was going on there that you would like to emulate here?
Yeah, I can take this one. So from my research on the Pleasanton Youth Commission and from meeting with them, I noticed that the youth involvement in Pleasanton has been around for a while. I know that, they got the non-voting youth member on there in 2013, and their commission was established before then as well. And what was really interesting is that their youth commission is very, very involved in the community, and they actually have a policy group, a permanent policy group that kind of participates in these kinds of projects. So it was interesting to see how we haven't really developed that aspect of our commission as much, seeing as how we were only formed 4 years ago. So we hope to emulate kind of their level of activism.
Thank you. I'll let my fellow commissioners ask questions so I don't take too much of our time, but thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is a question just sort of generally. Have you approached other commissions with your proposal yet, or are we the first?
You guys will be the first, and we plan to cover 2 more in May and then finish off with Parks and Rec in June.
Okay. And was there anything surprising when you were talking with the people over in the city of Pleasanton? Anything that stood out as unique or surprising in the way they talked about either how they formed it or how it's been going since it's been adopted there?
So I can take this one again. So what's interesting about Pleasanton is that, so they got the non-voting youth member in 2013, and then in 2019, they actually kind of went on a new avenue to give the youth member the power to vote. So I thought that was interesting to see how they evolved from, the preferential voting member and kind of their impact in assessing that, and then moving and taking it a step forward. And when we talked to them, they told us that they are still in their trial period for the voting member, and that COVID has kind of curtailed a lot of that with their commissions not meeting as frequently.
And do each of their commissions have a youth member, or just some of them? Oh, good.
Yes.
Commissioner Manuel?
That's all.
Sorry, Commissioner Manuel, did you have something?
Yes. Is your idea that the youth commissioners would first serve a term as on the youth commission before serving on
Hold on.
the other commissions?
Commissioner Emanuel, the sound is a little bit soft. I don't know if the youth commissioners can hear. Could you?
It was a little soft, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Just a minute. I think I need this. Is this better? Okay. All right. Because I can hear without this. I didn't realize I need. Okay. So is it your idea that the commissioners for a specific commission will have first served a term on the youth commission? Or is that a separate issue?
Yeah, so we plan on having them be 2 separate things. So this youth seat can be filled by any youth member of the community, so not specifically youth commissioners. But like we said, if there is a vacancy, one of the options is to have a qualified youth commissioner serve for the duration of that term. So,
and in your surveys and among your own youth commissioners, have any of the people that you've talked with attended any of the commission meetings to see what it's like and what's involved, read any agendas, or to get a feeling for what the commission does?
I can take this one. So with the results or with the survey itself, we asked a question asking how many city council meetings they've been to. We did not ask them specifically about commission meetings, but we had around 20% said that they had been to a city council meeting in the past.
Do you know if there's a youth member that sits on the Walnut Creek School District or the Akalani School District?
Yeah, on the student governing board or school governing board, excuse me.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, there is, and they have a preferential voting seat as well.
Is there any report, or did you talk to any people who have done it to see how they felt it worked and whether they thought had specific considerations for what should be in the program or in the ordinance?
Well, a comment we can make on that is actually all three of us are familiar with the board member over at the Northgate Mount Diablo district, as well as the Akalani's district member, which is Preston Nibley, and then Michelle Alas is the one over at Mount Diablo. And both of them have done a wonderful job communicating with students and bringing those ideas up to the people in their board members. And so far, there has not been concerns. As a matter of fact, Mount Diablo, this is their first year having a student member, seeing that it went so well in all the other districts.
And just to add, as you may know, Michelle is also on the Youth Commission, and she's in this policy project. And so one of her ideas was to have that preferential voting member, just like from her experience with the school district board.
Thank you.
I have one more question. So let's say 4 years from now, we try this, and so how do we feed the pool of youth leaders onto each commission? And then what do you guys have in mind for that?
So in terms of applications, it will pretty much operate how the Youth Commission applications work, in the sense that we will promote it on our Instagrams and get the word out as we normally do for the Youth Commission. Obviously, each commission is welcome to promote it as well, and it's encouraged to promote it as well. The Youth Commission, as of right now, will be conducting these interviews, and then you guys will obviously have the final say.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
I also have something to add. So one of the ideas, we're still kind of throwing around a lot of ideas to see how we want this project to progress in the future. And a potential idea is definitely, as part of the application process, to have these applicants attend the commission meetings and kind of see how these meetings work. I know I've been to an arts commission meeting before everything shut down, and I thought it was really interesting. So it's definitely another way to gauge their interest.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Thank you.
Commissioner Cowdery?
I just have a comment. Rebecca had said that the youth commissions, or the people that are on the commissions, want to be heard and they want to learn. And I think this is really an opportunity for us to learn from the youth as well. I learned so much working with this group. They're an amazing group, and I know there's a lot more amazing youth out there that are an untapped resource. And I think it's a great way to get them involved with the city, and also hopefully eventually get a broader base for all our commissions, a more diverse base for all our commissions in the future.
I did want to add on to Jane's question earlier about how many students had gone to a commission meeting before. I know before I joined the Youth Commission, I was really unaware about the different commissions in our city and how they worked and their meeting times. I definitely think having a youth member on your commission will allow a different connection to form between your groups as well as the youth, allowing them to kind of be introduced to these meetings and come to them more often.
Do any other commissioners have any questions? Kevin, does the staff, does the commission need to do anything? Take any action?
I would just ask the youth leadership commissioners if they're looking for something specific from the arts commissioners, not as a vote, but are you looking for comments like Commissioner Cowdery provided, support or opposition or neutral? What would make you happy as a result of this meeting?
I mean, the questions that you've been asking have definitely kind of given us a sense of direction and helping us to look at kind of what the other commissioners may ask, what they might be curious about. And it would also allow us to kind of refine some of the parts of this project a bit more by the questions guiding us. And yeah, I think it would be great. Thank you, council member. Thank you, commission member Cowdery, for your nice comments. And I think it would be great to get the Arts Commission support, because we want to get the support of every commission before we go to council.
So as I explained, I think to you, Adil, earlier, I think you were emailing, I think, is this isn't an item that they're taking action on, but I think each commissioner can provide their comments to you if you'd like. So following the lead of Commissioner Cowdery, Chair Meredith, you could decide how you want to proceed with getting comments.
All right, other commissioners, would you like to offer your comments? Commissioner Emanuel?
Sure. I think it's a very interesting concept, and I really applaud all of you. I think what you do is terrific, and I think that we can learn from you and you can learn from us, and it's a very interesting concept, and I support the concept and see what develops and how we might refine it as you go along. So I appreciate your commitment. It's great.
Commissioner Bruner?
Yeah, I also think it's a wonderful idea, wonderful concept. I think it would add an extra dynamic element to any and all of the commission meetings. And at this time, with what I know now, I would definitely support it.
Commissioner Klauber?
Yeah, likewise, I'm very impressed by the work that you guys have done, the research and putting all your data points together, having someone from the inside support your efforts to, I'm talking about Glennis's involvement. I think that takes a whole lot of time from you, and a whole lot of thought. And I think this is a good start. And I would support it if you choose to go ahead, which it sounds like you have. So congratulations.
Mr. Cowdery?
I just have a quick question for Kevin. Are we able as commissioners to write a letter of support to the Youth Commission as individuals?
Would you be writing on your own behalf, I assume, not on behalf of the commission?
Well, on my own behalf, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Anything else? Well, just to wrap it up, I totally support the concept. I think having a perspective from young people would really help us evaluate artworks. I think the kind of the spirit and the energy that youth could bring to the commission would be very valuable. So totally support it. I think Adil, Dina, and Rebecca, you did a great job, and glad you came.
Thank you.
Before you leave, we do have the image from the Duncan arcade mural, but I just want to make sure that the youth leadership commissioners, did you get everything you needed at this meeting?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I'm glad we were off to a good start with the first one.
So why don't we pull up the image from the Duncan arcade just so you can speak to that.
So this is, you can see, I don't know if everybody's been by to see the actual mural, but you can see, it's not the best photo because I kind of did it on the fly, but you can see that each letter follows the theme and is very unique in its colors and use of the theme. So if you haven't had a chance, please stop by and see check out both the murals as well as all the murals inside the Duncan Arcade. And once again, I just want to say what a delight it was to work with this dynamic group of people, and I hope we get to work again soon.
Thank you again. So we'll move on to the consent calendar. Does any commissioner have any questions on any item on the consent calendar? And I'm going to move on to public comment on the consent calendar. Does any member of the public wish to provide public comment on any consent calendar item? Please use the raise hand feature or press 9 if you are connected by audio, only if you'd like to provide a public comment. Consistent with city policies related to public comments, each speaker will have 2 minutes to make your remarks. The Zoom feed for each speaker will cut off automatically at 2 minutes. At this time, I'll ask the secretary if there are any members of the public who would like to provide comments.
Chair Meredith, we do not have any public comments.
Thank you. So then we need to do a roll call vote on the consent calendar. Can we please have that?
Well, I'll need a motion in a second, and then I'm happy to take the vote.
I move that we approve the consent calendar as written.
Would that be items A, B, and C, Commissioner Cutter?
A, B, and C, yes.
I'll second that.
So I'll take the roll call vote. Commissioner Cowdery,
Yes.
Commissioner Bruner,
Yes.
Commissioner Emanuel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Klauber,
Yes.
and Chair Meredith.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Thank you.
So we'll move on to item 5, which is considerations. And the first item is commission chair and vice chair elections. I'd like to call for nominations for chair. Commissioner Emanuel.
I'd like to nominate Yasmini Klauber for chair of the Arts Commission for the coming year.
Second.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was the second on that? I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take the, well, not so fast. I have to take the roll call vote. Commissioner Emanuel,
Yes.
Commissioner Cowdery,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Bruner,
Yes.
Vice Chair Klauber,
Yes.
and Chair Meredith.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Congratulations, Chair Klauber.
I'm very honored to take this role and I'll accept it. Thank you very much.
So I'll now hand over the virtual gavel to Chair.
Thank you. And thank you for your service, Anne. In the past year, it's been a very difficult year to keep up with all of the different questions and moves associated with the pandemic. So thank you for your service. Okay, I think this is time now for me to make a call for the nomination for vice chair. We ask for a nomination for Fritz Bruner. And so would someone make that call, please? It'd be you, Glennis.
I knew it. I move that Fritz Bruner be named the vice chair for the coming year for the Arts Commission.
Second that.
I'll take the roll call. Commissioner Emanuel,
Yes.
Commissioner Cowdery,
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bruner,
Yes.
and Chair Klauber.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Congratulations, Vice Chair Bruner.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, so at this point, we will announce commission liaison appointments and the appointments for the Community Arts Foundation, the Library Community Art Gallery, the Public Art Committee, the Design Review, and the Special Projects and Murals. We've decided to keep last year's appointments, and they are Commissioner Bruner and Commissioner Cowdery for the Community Arts Foundation. The Library Community Art Gallery will be to Commissioner Emmanuel. The Public Art Committee will be to Commissioners Cowdery and Meredith. The Design Review will be to Commissioner Meredith. And the Special Projects and Murals will be to myself, Commissioner Klauber. So that is that announcement. Next on the agenda is an item for commission consideration, which is the Ignacio Center murals. And at this time, I invite staff to provide the staff presentation. And there he is. The one and only Stephen Huss.
Can somebody signal that you can hear me?
We can hear you.
Great. That means I have to actually do the job. Okay. Thank you. Good evening, Commission. So we have 2 items for murals on your agenda tonight. And by way of general introduction, I would like to just say a couple of things about this. The Art Commission launched a murals program about 2.5 years ago with a couple of significant murals on public walls, but we very much encourage murals on private walls too. And this was part of our goal and hope that the private sector would be stepping up to also put in murals. So it's exciting to see some murals being proposed for very visible locations on private property, and they will be funded completely by the private sector. Now, the Art Commission does review and approve privately funded murals on private property. However, it is not at the same level of oversight as publicly funded artwork. The applicant has a right to install murals of their choosing. The Art Commission's powers are loosely defined, but our key involvement with murals are, the first is when the Commission is overseeing publicly funded artwork. It has full authority of approval at all the levels we typically are accustomed to: site, artist, and concept. And the other issue is that we also have to be sure that we are differentiating any proposals between murals and signage. Murals are reviewed by the Art Commission, signage reviewed by Design Review Commission. This is something that we've already established clearly in the case of the Ignacio Center murals. The signage has been reviewed and approved on the level of the Design Review Commission, and the works we're looking at tonight are not signage, they are purely murals. So what we are asking you to do is to approve the location and in general, the appearance of the murals, review their technical quality, the artist's credentials, not a matter of personal opinion of the art per se, but I think that we're not here to say no, but we're here to provide a guiding hand on the overall development of public art in the city. And with any luck, we'll be seeing more and more participation from private sector on murals. So I think it's an encouraging development. So that's my general introduction. So now I wanted to move into the Ignacio Center Murals project, which is your item 5C. Ignacio Center is a business complex of several multi-story buildings, a parking garage, and an open public green space. Probably well known to residents, it's located between Ignacio Valley Road, Pringle Avenue North, North California Boulevard, and North Main Street. The owners of Ignacio Center are making improvements to the facilities that will give it a very different look. They are repainting it in a new color scheme. They have an extensive new program of signage and a very elaborate set of new murals, which will be thousands of square feet of new public mural. This is a group of murals. There are 4 separate artworks. Some of them are installed in multiple sections. Again, this is an elective project that they have chosen to do, not a requirement of any of our ordinances. The design consultants selected artist Brian Alfred, based in New York City. And he's a very accomplished artist in public art, studio art, teaching, podcasting. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the, see if I can share screen. I'm going to pull up their presentation. All right, can somebody give me the ability to share? Or pull up the item attachment 1 if you have that, Cindy or Matt. All right. Yay, very good. Okay, so this is the first, thank you. This is the first page. This is a map of the mural locations in the Ignacio Center. And you'll see there are a number of different buildings, and I'll discuss it in a little bit more detail. So if you could go to the next image, please. Yes, this is an overview of the murals. The murals are designed to reflect the surrounding landscape of this location and to reflect our general situation in Contra Costa County. They are inspired by the natural setting, using live oak trees, rolling hills, open skies, and Mount Diablo, et cetera, in their imagery. They are expected to last up to 20 years. And they've created separate signage that has drawn inspiration from the mural imagery. The mural concepts came first, which is great. It's nice to see artwork spark other elements. However, just I want to point out again, these murals are not a form of signage, and the DRC's sign subcommittee has looked at the signage and took a look at the murals as well and judged they were not at all signage. And by the way, they support the murals going in as well. So if you could go forward on the next page. So we're going to quickly look at these, and then we're going to invite the applicants to say more if they would like to. The first mural, as I've written up in the report, is a landscape mural of Mount Diablo, painted in blues and greens, and it'll be, if you go to the next page, segmented into 3 panels that will be installed on the walls of the garage in slightly different locations around the walls of the garage. Next page. These will be, here's another image of that as they're separated. Next page, please. And these will be viewable to any visitors, go back a little bit, viewers of any visitors on the campus. So particularly visible for pedestrians as they enter the campus of Ignacio Center. Okay, please go ahead and you can kind of skip through. This is technical illustrations that show how it actually is going to be painted on the wall. So there's a very high level of detail, including the PMS colors have been provided by the applicant. Okay, yeah, let's go to this next mural is designed to be an image of a serene body of water installed on a low wall alongside a walkway into Ignacio Center at the corner of Pringle and North California. This is inviting visitors to take a slightly different path and explore the campus outdoors. Okay, if you can go forward, we'll go take a quick look at the sighting. So that's another mock-up of this image. All right, the soffit wall or ceiling of this next image, visitors that enter the building at 2033 North Main will be able to look up and actually see this as they enter. The next page will show you even, if you go on to the next page, you'll see a mock-up of that in situ. So it's a mural of geese in flight. They're silhouetted against a sunlit sky and create this sort of trompe l'oeil that you're right underneath the sky itself. Very unusual setting and an interesting asymmetrical mural. And yeah, thank you. Keep going through these. Okay, that's the next one. And the longest of the murals on the so-called long wall of the property at 2001 North Main is returning to just a vast, landscape vista of rolling hills typical of our region, and it'll be 110 feet wide. And it essentially looks continuous. There are some columns in between, but it is more or less a continuous piece. Thanks. So if you could proceed just to a few more pages down to the, there's an image of a plaque. We could take a look at that too. Yes, that one. And they also submitted an example of the plaque that they'll be installing in 2 different locations on the property. So tonight we are seeking your feedback and invite your vote to approve the murals. We do have the design, the applicants who are the design firm, as well as the artist who's come in from New York City to join us today. So I'd like to invite them to comment and to then respond to any questions you have. So we have Dustin Fasalalpi, I think I got your name right. Danny and, well, Brian was here. Anyway, Brian Alfred is the artist and he was,
I'm here.
You there? Okay, great. Let's see. I think I might have, let me see, I might have something else to quickly show. I wanted to show. Oh, yes. So I promised Dustin I would share this as well. We supplied the commission with the narrative from Brian that I sort of summarized, and your CV and resume, and also a little bit on the principles of the firm. And Danny and Dustin are here as well. Let's see. Dustin, can you speak? I think he's ready. Hi, Dustin, can you hear us? Did you want to comment?
Steve, he's here, but we're not able to bring him in quite yet.
Okay.
Is Danny interested in speaking, or should just jump to Brian?
Yeah, I got.
Let's see,
Can you hear
Danny.
me? Hi, this
Yes.
is Danny. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. So Heinz, the owner, hired Lux Creed to research different artists that we felt were great for the project. And after an exhaustive search, it was hands down that the client liked Brian Alfred. And we think that he put a great representation of the values and such of Walnut Creek together. Oh, I'm on video, I think. And that's it. I think we can turn it over to Brian.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, I would love to, speak about my work. How much time do you guys have? An hour or 2? No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, I do want to say, as per what you were talking about earlier, it's definitely not design. And these are definitely sort of artworks that were really inspired by a sort of intensive, not in real life views of the location. So doing research on the internet and, surveying the land from afar, basically. But the inspiration is definitely from the area. And I tried to create something that I thought would work really well, that would be sort of harmonious with the surroundings, aesthetically pleasing, sort of like soothing, but at the same time big enough, because the size of it is so impactful that I think it'll really have a significant sort of aesthetic push on the area for anyone who's in the area and looking at those buildings. So, and I tried to come up with images that would resonate with, the scale and width and sort of scope of all the different surfaces on the building and in the area there. I've done a lot of public art, everything from videos in Times Square to art for bullet trains in Japan, and public art is something that I love doing. It's a big part of my work. Traditionally, I show in galleries around the world, and and that's kind of like my main thing. But I have done a lot of public work, and I really love engaging with a broader public in that way, where it's not a white box, it's something that people off the street can see and engage with. And it's knock on wood, it's always been a really great experience, and I've gotten good feedback from it. So I'm really excited about this project, and it was a lot of work, and I hope it really comes to fruition. But if there's any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
I'd like to ask if the commissioners have any questions. I have a question, or Jane, can you go ahead,
Yes.
please?
I have a couple. First of all, thank you to the building owner for wanting to do this. You're the first on the block, and we appreciate it very much. I'm always concerned about public art being accessible to the public, so I do want to confirm that anybody can wander through the campus. Is that possible? Is everybody hearing me?
I hear you. I think that's probably a question for Dustin or Danny, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So this is Danny, owner of Lux Create, and I'm unsure of the legality of allowing anyone through the campus. I'm not quite sure of that. I don't know if Heinz is on the line, but I know for a fact that all of these murals are visible from the public right away. Okay, so Dustin cannot go on. He just texted me. Dustin's the project manager on the project, and he said yes, they are allowed to walk through the campus. It is actually an open campus from, I believe it's the corner of California and Maine, I believe. It's wide open, but nonetheless, the murals are very visible from the right of way. And actually, to not take away from the murals, the main mural that's on the parking garage actually inspired the design of the signage that's going in place, as well as the owner's branding that they're going to carry throughout their website and marketing material and leasing material. So we didn't start with a brand. We started with Brian Alfred's work and then developed the brand from there. So we think that this is an exceptional, special project, because usually we start with a brand and then we develop a signage design, then we bring an artist in. We kind of did the opposite way around, which is kind of cool.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's see. I love the corner with the mural under the overhang. I don't know what you call that. That's very clever. Will the Jerome Kirk piece still be there? And I assume it's right in that spot. Am I correct? Steve, maybe you know that.
I'm pretty sure that is the site, because I went by to look at it and confirm that's where it was. I don't think there's any plan to move that. In fact, there isn't. This is not really. It's not a renovation in the sense of, new construction or anything. So it's a facelift of the exteriors. So they're going to be repainting the buildings, but they're not going to be moving that artwork, to my knowledge.
I just wanted to make sure that they can live in harmony with each other, the Kirk piece and the mural. Okay. Also, to the question of pieces, there used to be 2 benches by an artist, Anne McKee, that were in that center, and I used to take the public art walking tour through there, but I believe those have been removed. And I don't know if any of Danny or Dustin, if you know anything about that, but I just was curious as to why they were removed. So Brian, what is it about that paint that makes it last so long? Because we've been thinking about murals lasting, if we were lucky, 5 to 7 years. So can you talk about
They've
that a
gotten,
little?
yeah, to be honest, I'm not like an expert in sort of outdoor paint, but I do know that, you know, they've just gotten much better at engineering these paints to last long. Just like, you know, when you do sort of like interior paints now and they have that scuff it stuff that basically like everything washes off of it, they've just engineered the paint to be stronger and more light fast, which basically means like over the course of time, UV rays have an effect on the pigment inside, the chemical pigment inside the paint. And over time, traditionally that fades out. Well, they've figured out how to chemically produce the paint to where it can withstand that ultraviolet light much better. I know that just from like the stuff that I do on my paintings, you know, in my studio that go in galleries and stuff that aren't outside catching straight light. So they've just gotten much better at it. I don't know the chemistry behind it, to be totally honest with you. I just know that it's much better than it used to be.
And then is it also pretty easy to get graffiti off? Should that happen?
I have no idea. To be totally honest, I don't know what the graffiti, I don't know what that's not part of the scope of me in this project. I'm making the art and I know a bit about the paint, but I don't really know, you know, if graffiti is easy to clean off it or not. I honestly don't know.
So if I can chime in here, again, this is Danny with Lux Create. Brian is correct in every respect. The paint is engineered very well these days, and it's called Kind Mineral paint. It's got really strong pigments, but in addition to that, there's a UV clear coat that goes over the top that can be reapplied from time to time to keep the natural color to last a very long time. And then the other thing is that Corporate Sign Systems, our other company, is actually the physical painter of the murals. Brian created all the art, and Corporate Signs has the lifts and the insurance and all the wherewithal to actually do the painting. And we're local. Corporate Signs is local, and so therefore the mural can be easily repainted if there's ever an issue in the future. And again, the UV clear coat's applied. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's like every 10 years to preserve the integrity of the mural.
Great. And then my last question has to do with, well, I guess it's a comment maybe, that the landscaping will have to be watched in terms of not growing up in the face of the building, the murals that go around the outside of the project. So I assume you'll take care of that. And Steve, my packet does not have the artist statement for the project, and I always like that for the public art walking tour. So I'd like to get that. And
Noted.
that's
Okay.
it.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have questions? Fritz, do you have a question? Glenna? I have a question, Brian.
Sure.
How much influence did you have over the mural locations?
I had some. There were a lot of different surfaces on the buildings, so it just, you know, as we were talking about the project and kind of figuring out the scope, I think early on I was just sort of responding to certain surfaces that I thought it just makes sense that, you know, they would look good on, and they had, you know, recommendations too on what they thought would be great to sort of have artwork on. Like, in other words, like the soffit, when you go in that underside, that's a very unconventional, like I've never done a mural, you know, underneath something like that. Right. But it's really cool because I love the idea. You know, I've studied art history. I've seen Tiepolo, and I've been to Italy and seen those sort of murals on the roofs of, you know, churches. And so I love that, you know, idea. it's unconventional, but when they said that, maybe something could go there, I jumped at the chance to create something, that could make sense and sort of be dynamic and interesting in that environment. So I really love responding. There's a lot of artists whose work is very insular and, it is what it is. And I really love responding to places and to, wherever I show, I kind of try to bring something, an element of wherever that is to the work. And that's for just like gallery shows and stuff like that. So in a public piece like this, it's really compelling for me to try to come up with something that resonates with the area and with the location of whatever I'm working on. So I'd
Yeah.
like to think that this works. I mean, I do think it works, of course, because I made it.
I think that's a clever corner there. I'll call it the clever corner. If you drive south, you get to see that ceiling, if you will, on that corner with the sun and the birds. So I think that's a very clever move. But the reason why I'm asking is because one of the busiest traffic moves is going west on California. And I didn't see any murals that would be placed as traffic flows west. Did you guys consider that? That's to me anyway, because that's on Ignacio. It's not on California. It's on Ignacio going west. And so when you're looking at the building, and that would be sort of an obvious place if you wanted to show or display this magnificent, mural. So did you guys consider that?
I think we did. There might have been a couple surfaces that were out of consideration due to some sort of technical reasons that I quite honestly, I don't remember if that was the case or not. I mean, the sort of surfaces that we chose, or at least that I was responding to, were places that look like good walls for me to work on, and that it makes sense. There's probably other, there might be other walls that could also work. I can't really, to be honest, remember if, what walls. I mean, maybe Danny does, but I don't really know if there were ones that were out of commission for some reason, or just not, it wasn't desirable to work on. But when I came up with the group of images, the shifts in scale, like there's things that you think of that like might look good from a certain angle as just a passerby, but then when you're thinking conceptually of how these images work together and the sort of surfaces that you have, there's kind of a rhythm that I was considering as you move around in these spaces, and a sort of conceptual movement of the pieces during different times of day, different light and all that. And this was just the one that the configuration of all these that seemed to work out the best for me, just in working on it. Now, if you told me, hey, you have to do it on this wall instead of that one, I'm sure I could come up with something, but this was just what I came up with basically.
Gotcha. So last question for me is, and I think I heard this. So are you coming to paint on site, or are you not going to make it, or a third party going to paint the mural?
Yeah, no, this project is way too big for me to paint. This will be painted by people. I mean, I usually do a lot of my murals, but this is too big. Like I can't. Yeah, I've come up with the design, and then there's going to be like painters who do it.
Okay, got it.
That also has nothing to do with me having a solo show in Japan this year and one in New York next year. And I'm releasing a book on my podcast, and I release a weekly podcast, and I'm working on an app with Unity right now for my artwork. Nothing to do with that, but this is just kind of too big of a project for me to handle by myself for sure.
Oh, congratulations to you.
Hey guys,
Thanks.
this is Dustin with Lux Create. I just wanted to mention, got my speaker working. Sorry about that earlier, but yeah, we're actually working with a local muralist to recreate Brian's work on site.
And who would that be?
His name's Josh Powell of Powell Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's out of Castro Valley.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Do any of the commissioners have comments after or questions?
Chair Klauber, before we jump to commissioner comments, I believe we have a public comment. If you want to open it up to public comment.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to open it up for public comment if we have someone.
We do. We're bringing her in now. Her name is Kari Aycock.
Okay. Miss,
Hi, can you hear me?
hi, Kari. Yes, we can. Welcome.
Okay, hi. Thank you for taking time and listening to our presentation. I just wanted to state, as the owner, I work as one of the property managers at Ignacio Center, that the campus is open. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that the campus is open to pedestrian traffic, so all these murals are available to the public.
Mhm.
And that, yeah, we are really just trying to add to the fabric of Walnut Creek. And we're excited about all the work that's going to take place to kind of beautify the property. And yeah, I'm excited about the underside mural as well, but wait till you see the colors that we paint the two older buildings and the vibrancy that we bring to Ignacio Center. I think it's really going to be something to behold. So thanks.
Yeah, we're very excited for it. Thank you for your comments. Are there other public comments, Kevin?
Yeah, and I was not aware that was the owner, but I don't believe that was technically public comment, but that's okay. So no other public comment.
Okay, do the commissioners have comments? Fritz?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate both the artist and the team involved. I think the scale is great. The color palette used is perfect, in my opinion, for that scale, and should provide a nice calming effect for people walking through and wanting to linger and enjoy part of their day just in that open area. So I applaud you.
Thank you. I'm going to take full credit for all that. Thanks.
Might as well.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Anyone else with comments? Well, I have a comment tied to my question, which was if it makes sense to consider adding a mural on Ignacio, so that, because the highest traffic is there, is we're with the most visibility from the public. So I would consider adding an image or mural to the Ignacio side. That's it. Well, I have one more comment. I really love it, and I'm very happy that Kari, that you guys took the initiative to improve your property, and will allow our town to have the benefit of that as well. So thank you very much for that, and for choosing such a renowned artist, and not just because he's renowned. You can tell his work is super high quality and exciting. We haven't seen anything like this in the city before, so thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
Chair Claver, you're muted.
I like to mute myself often. It's a good thing. The next item on the agenda.
Chair Claver, I apologize. We do need a motion.
I apologize for that. Yes, will someone make a motion, please?
Move approval of the murals at Ignacio Center.
I'll second.
Thank you.
So I'll take the roll call. Commissioner Cowdery. Yeah, Commissioner Cowdery.
Yes.
Commissioner Bruner.
Yes.
Commissioner Emmanuel.
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith.
Yes.
And I apologize, Vice Chair Bruner and Chair Claver.
Yes.
So motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Question. What's the completion date projected to be?
Now you're asking the question, Jane?
This is,
I
this
just
is
thought
Dustin
about
with,
it.
The artist
Will
took
it
off
be
to
in my
write his book.
lifetime?
Steve, do you know, or does the project team know?
Yeah, this is Dustin with the project manager for the design build. We're projected, we've kind of just been waiting for this review to get approved. So now that we are approved, we can jump right into color samples and start right away. So we're looking at probably the next 3 months to be complete. That's what our hopes are.
Hey, actually, I just got my project approved in Walnut Creek.
That's great. This, and I believe, Steve, you said this was the last step in the project approvals. Is that right?
As my understanding is the last step in the city's review process. We're at the end of it. So this is should be the green light to go ahead, as Danny just said, I think, or Dustin just said.
Thank you, Chair Clapper.
Thank you, Jane. Good question. The next item under consideration is Mel's Diner, the mural by above Mel's Diner. It's at 1388 North Main Street. And at this time, I invite staff to provide the staff presentation.
Thank you, Chair. And again, evening commissioners. So just briefly, the rebound projects we've done, I think, have helped a bit open our communications with business owners about art on their properties, and maybe are helping to, excite and engage people about that. But like the Ignacio Center murals, this is a very positive development with private ownership stepping up to fund a mural for the public without asking for any city support. Tonight, this is a proposal for a wall on a key corner of the downtown, the large north-facing wall that is right behind the Mel's Diner. The actual property is 1388 North Main, but it looks like it's part of the diner. And this is very visible, as you all probably know this wall, but it's from Main Street, from Cypress, and also quite visible from Broadway. I double-checked that this morning. This is really a prime wall for artwork in terms of its location, its scale, and its visibility. And it's owned by Brian Herhar, who's here with us tonight. And we've actually had informal discussions with him in the past about the desirability of a mural on this wall. So the applicants are proposing a mural that will cover pretty much the entire wall and are proposing to fund it 100%. I'm going to pull up the concept. We've had a couple small variations in it, and this is the final version that I had received. Let's see if I can share this with you all and make this as large as I can. This should be almost identical to the one you've seen. I think there's a slight variation in the lower right section. So this is the concept. It's called Walnut Creek Funk Zone. It's intended to be a bit cartoony. The colors, as you can tell, it's always funny to describe art that you're looking at, but vibrant colors. It includes iconic features such as public art that people of Walnut Creek, landscape, iconic signage. The goal that as I understand it, and they can tell you a little bit more, is to really infuse this wall in the intersection with energy and movement, color and vibrancy. This is very much kind of a street art energy, which is a little different than what we've been seeing in Walnut Creek. We've just started to introduce that in a couple of our smaller rebound murals. So this is a real different kind of look for the streets. And this, again, the piece should have a lifespan of, I think, 15 years easily is what we talked about. So let me pull up quickly. Something you've also got in your packet was a mock-up on site. This is sort of an in situ mock-up. This is a slightly older variant with the flame, blue flame here, so that's not in it any longer. One just thing to note for the commission, if you're familiar, we will need to remove and relocate a small temporary mural sculpture that we had installed if you can see my cursor moving around, it's this lower right section. That's a piece that the city owns and we put there as part of Rebound. So we'll be relocating that, but working with the applicant on timing for that. And in fact, we, at a recent public art committee meeting, we had a couple of possible suggestions about public places, or rather private walls we could place it through Commissioner Cowdery. And we also have some ideas for public locations. So again, this is a completely elective mural, not fulfilling any requirement of public art, which would be a more involved review process. And the action we're asking tonight is to approve the proposed mural after your consideration, discussion, and feedback. We have invited the applicants here to comment and elaborate. Mike Gavin, Brian Hirahara, and the artist Burke Wallace are all attending, I believe. So I'm going to turn it back to the chair for comments.
Thank you, Steve. Nice presentation. Do my fellow commissioners have any questions?
Before you jump into questions, would it be helpful, Steve, just to keep the image up on this screen? Would that be helpful to commissioners? Or are you okay with it in your packet? Because it has changed slightly from what you saw.
Can you put the mock-up up there? Because that provides a lot of perspective.
I'm sorry, I can't quite, my computer, I can't quite get it to fill any bigger than that, but there it is.
That's fine. All right, let's start with questions. Anyone? Jane.
Does anybody else want to go first? Or shall I? All right, I'll go first. I'm a little confused about the applicants. Is it Brian and Gavin in Inc. together that are doing this?
So, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. The way it's from the Gavin's company, Brian is the owner of the property.
Right.
I think it is a collaborative project, but he is the owner who's given permission, and then nominal applicant is the Gavin, Mike Gavin and family.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that because it was a little I wasn't sure about it. That's just a fabulous site. It's just a wonderful location. I was curious as to whether the concept needed to be changed for the fact that the lower left side quadrant is obliterated by the Mel's building. So will that part just not show? Or how do you fit it in?
I think Burke can answer to that.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you guys for taking the time. So yeah, real quick, just to maybe give you guys a little bit of insight into my process. My work kind of embodies a certain energy and kind of spontaneity, and is a lot of times a sort of like flow of consciousness. What you'll notice in this mock-up is that there are like a few key elements, be it the kind of like landmarks and words or phrases and kind of ideas. And those things will be placed strategically on the wall. And then there are other elements that are more filler, kind of texture and pattern and just like color and things like that. So nothing will be obliterated by the building. All of the key elements will be placed visibly on the wall. And then those secondary elements, texture and things like that will be just added to fill in and kind of make it fit. And that sort of gives us a little bit of freedom to like make sure that all the key elements are very visible, from the street and from different angles and this and that. and then we'll use the bright blues and oranges and stuff to fill in and kind of make it all work.
Okay. And can you speak to some information about the paint process that would enable it to last 15 years?
Yeah, so I actually work pretty closely with a artist, like art quality paint company that's based out of Spain, but they do have a flagship office here in Los Angeles. And so they're kind of on the forefront of developing aerosol paint that has pigment that lasts and is UV protected. And yeah, so it's like, I guess technology is finally catching up with, with the environment, and yeah, the paint, stays color fast for 10 to 20 years. And, besides, yeah, short of vandalism, we really shouldn't have any issues with it staying vibrant. And I do, and maybe Mike can speak to this, but I think we are doing some prep to the wall to make sure that the surface would be as as good as we could get it prior to the mural. And I think things like that will also a solid primer and this art quality paint is gonna make sure that it lasts and looks good for a really long time.
I think
correct. Hi, folks. My name is Mike Gavin. I'm one of the family members that is working in collaboration with Brian Hirahara and Burke on this project. So yes, we've been in discussions with Brian with regards to working on the wall prior to Burke beginning his artwork, and we will have a professional contractor that will come out and make sure that the wall is paint ready and be able to handle what Burke will be doing. So we'll definitely be working on that and making sure it's prepped and ready to go prior to Burke starting on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, could I ask you to pull up the image with the mural and the restaurant as well?
Thank you.
Chair Clabber, you can go ahead and have other questions while Steve's pulling it up.
Do you want them both viewed at the same time?
I have a question, Commissioner.
Go ahead, Glennis, please.
So I'm just curious as to whether or not there'll be a clear coat over it to protect it from vandalism and UV rays.
Would that be a question for you, Mike?
Yes, we will end up putting a coat on this to protect it. I will work with Burke on that to make sure that the wall is protected. So we'll definitely work on that process.
Burke, my question, I have a question, and the question is, so what we see right now, I really like this image, by the way, and the colors, and it's kind of has a Keith Haring-ish thing, look to it, with the outlining in black. But are the images, are the different pieces going to be where they are now? So if I visualize it, the way that it is in the mock-up and what we see on the screen right now, so is it going to be exactly where it is now? And then you're just going to try to fit it around the building so that you don't hide any of these images? Or is that up for change?
So like I mentioned earlier, I think my process sort of dictates it changing a bit. But but it would be very, very close to what you see here.
Mhm.
So yes and no, I guess is the answer to your question. Yeah, so it will look exactly like this, but some things might be moved, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure.
I don't think you would be able to tell sort of like between this and the finished product.
Mhm.
But obviously we're not going to just omit any of the landmarks or key elements from the finished product. So things will just get shifted a bit, and then other things that are will just kind of fill in there. So yeah, it will change a bit, but it will look very, very similar to what you have in front of you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Fritz?
Yeah, I was just wondering what the timeline was for this.
Yeah, maybe Mike can speak to that as well. I know for me, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 10-day process in terms of installation. So, you know, I will be hand painting all of this. And it's a pretty cool thing to watch too. You know, it kind of evolves throughout the process, and will be a bunch of color at first, and then as things start to get outlined, it'll really come to life. And yeah, it should be cool to I know that's something that Mike and I have talked about. I don't know if that's something we need to address here, but we're hoping to you know, capture the process as well, and maybe make some sort of video or something.
Right. We have been in talks with Steve Huss with regards to there's some kind of and maybe Steve, you can help me with the name of the, like a festival or an art on Main event that will happen sometime in August. And Steve was thinking that the timing with this would be great for it to kind of be in conjunction with that event, and that this can be a real Instagram moment, I guess, you know, be captured. We're planning on, you know, doing a video of this as the process is happening, if, you know, if the commission approves this, and make it a really fun, inspiring thing for downtown to really try to get the energy and people out to really just look at art, and just post-COVID, I hope. So, you know, we've been in discussions, we're flexible on the timing, and we'll work with, if we end up working out the agreement with Steve on the festival at that time, that we would do it then.
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, some major technical difficulties over here, but I'm finally on. Hi, everyone. I'm Rola Gabin. Mike and I are brother and sister, also business partners as well. I know only a few people on this panel, but those who don't know me, again, I'm Rola Gabin. Our family's been in Walnut Creek as a community business owner and part of the community for going on 38 years. You know, we look at Walnut Creek as our home and basically our backyard. This project is really important to us, only because obviously of all the circumstances that have happened in the last 18 months. But at the same time, you know, COVID has taught us a lot as a business, as people, as a community, how we look at things and how do we continue to move forward. I'm super excited about this project only because it really brings vibrance into our community. I think it's something that, you know, we lack a little bit. We are definitely the hub of downtown, our location. We've had businesses throughout the community, from Mount Diablo to Locust, Main Street, and Bonanza. So we really know the community and we really know the downtown. It's, you know, COVID has given us an eye opener of how we look at things, especially the transformation of what has gone on Locust with the rebound program for outdoor dining, and the positive outlook that people have have exposed themselves to and liked, and how do we keep that present for longer as we move forward and as we get out of COVID and everything else. But now what do we do for Main Street? I think Main Street is an area of our downtown that lacks identity. It lacks vibrance. This definitely will be something that people will come out to look at. What I love that Burke has done in this mural is he brought a lot of great pieces of Walnut Creek into his art, into his vision. Obviously the baby head on the fountain. I love the wording of make more art, Broadway, but I think my favorite one is the hand that he picked out of the library, which really shows, everything that we want to move forward with. How do we move together as a community, as partners, as people that come and dine and shop in our community. I don't know how many of you actually come into the downtown, but in the past 3 years before COVID, our clientele has really changed. People that come shop, dine, and go to the movies or whatever they do in our community, it's changed. We are a diverse community in a lot of ways, and it's even getting more so as we get out of COVID. We always look at downtown as being the art district, but the average Joe Blow doesn't know that it's the art district. What makes us the art district? Is it the Dean Lesher? Is it the, I don't know. That's a question for the commissioner to kind of explain to me, because when I tell my husband, hey, we're considered an art district, he says, well, why is that? And I had a few answers for him, but not really anything to, make us a true art district. Again, I love this project. I think it's a great change for us. The communities around us are doing and making these kind of changes. And it's time for us as a community, as Walnut Creek, to be a little edgy. And this definitely is a little edgy, but super fun to look at.
I think it would be great for Burke to give a little bit of his background and resume, some of the exciting things that he's done over the last couple of years. And I think that will give kind of you folks privy to what he's done. Burke, I think it would be really cool to talk a little bit about some of the projects that you've worked on, from music videos to UC Berkeley murals, etc.
Yeah.
Sorry, Burke, can I just add one thing before you get started on that?
Sure.
I think all the murals that we've seen downtown is great, and all the different arts that have popped up are awesome. But I think what Burke brings to the table is street art, and I think we need that. So go ahead, Burke.
All right. Yeah. I guess I'm not super good at talking about myself, but I'll give it a shot. I've been lucky enough to work on a ton of really cool projects. I've been making a living as an artist for about 15 years now. And I've done everything from help produce the Wide Open Walls Mural Festival in Sacramento, as well, and participate in it, on to like mural projects with companies like Kaiser Permanente and Spotify, and have recently had my mural work featured in music videos for Cardi B, Selena Gomez, J Balvin, and Blackpink, just to name a few. And yeah, I have murals all over the country. I'm working on a potential mural in Bangkok, Thailand. So yeah, I've been at it for a long time. Art is my life. And yeah, I feel like I'm on my way to being a world-renowned mural painter.
Wow, that was pretty good. Thank you. We believe you, and we're here for you. Well, do any of the other commissioners have questions at this point? Thank you, by the way, Rula. Thanks for your comments.
Can I go real quick?
Yes, Brian.
Just like a minute. Brian Hirahara, I'm the building owner, and I just want to say that, as Steve had mentioned, we had conversations over the years because I wanted to do a mural for a long time. We did Bullman a few years ago, and it blew my public art budget for the next 10 years. So when I actually worked with Mike and his wife to add the Brighter Days mural on the building they own right across from Sasa, which we own. And there I was asking their permission, and it was ironic that when the opportunity came up here, they were asking me my permission. So definitely, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I'm very involved in the downtown and Walnut Creek Downtown Association Board, and I'm trying to push the downtown in a more urban, edgy, fun, funky, artistic direction. That's why we did Bullman, and I think this is a step in that direction of very youthful, very colorful, definitely fun. And I think people will come from all over. And I want to thank Mike and Rolla and Burke for working with us, because originally the original piece didn't have any Walnut Creek references, and they added them, and Burke did. And I just think it almost becomes like a Where's Waldo, where the longer you stand there and look at it, you go, whoa, oh, there's, that's the original Broadway sign from Broadway Plaza. I mean, things like that. So I think it gives that the feeling of a local piece and local roots that Burke did his homework, and it just makes it that more intimate of a piece to engage the public. So I couldn't be more excited. I think it's just going to be a great addition to the downtown. And thank you very much. We really appreciate you guys listening to us, and love working with this team. It's been a lot of fun and an exciting project. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other commission questions, then we can move on to public comment. Does any member of the public wish to provide public comment on any consent on any of the items?
Lauber, just so you don't have to read the whole thing again. We don't have any public comments.
Thank you. Well, if there are no public comments, can we take roll call on approvals?
Well, I just want to see if there are any final commissioner comments, and then be happy to take a motion.
I have a comment. Is that okay to go?
Yes.
This location has been screaming for a mural for as long as we've been talking about murals. So it's so exciting to see a mural being painted there, especially one that's so vibrant and does really represent a lot of positive aspects of Walnut Creek and the community we are and the community we're becoming. So I'm real excited about this mural. The only other comment I have about the mural that's presently there is that I just want to make sure that with the timing, we have enough time to hopefully identify a new spot and move it directly, as opposed to seeing it go into storage for a while, because sometimes when things go into storage, they kind of go into a black hole. So I'm hoping it can just move to another location rather going into storage. But thank you to the team who put this concept together. It's wonderful.
Oh my God.
Commissioner Emanuel.
It's always been a pleasure working with Brian, and his heart is at the right place, and he loves Walnut Creek, and you can tell in every project that he does. And so I thank you, Brian, for this. And now Rolla and Mike, I'm glad to meet you and hope to see you around even more. And thank you for doing this. It's just a great addition. We're just so glad to see you make this commitment. Thank you.
Commissioner Meredith.
I just want to support this project. I just think it's terrific, and it really echoes what the talked about earlier in the meeting with the youth commissioners, that this kind of art is really going to bring an energy to the community, and it really reflects on the ideas that the youth of the community are really anxious to see installed. And so I think this really validates what their comments were.
Commissioner Bruner?
Yeah, I think, such a great location really deserves something big and bold like this. I think this is wonderful.
Yeah. Likewise. In answer to your question, Rola, what makes it the arts district, I think it's work under construction, and it's the collaboration of folks like you who are bringing it all together for everyone. So one day we'll turn around and not need to ask that question because it will be so obvious. And so thank you. I think we're ready for an approval at this point.
Just before you're looking for a motion, Chair Klauber, I wanted to put up, there it is, the image that you're approving. And I know that Burke had indicated that things may move around, but the image that you saw next to the restaurant has been revised just a little bit. So the one you see here is the one that you're considering. And you saw this previously in Steve's presentation.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
I'd like to move approval of the mural at Mills Diner located at 1388 North Main Street.
I second that.
So roll call, Commissioner Cowdery.
Yes.
Chair Klauber.
Yes.
Commissioner Meredith.
Yes.
Commissioner Emmanuel.
Yes.
And Vice Chair Bruner.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys a bunch.
Good day.
I'm
Thank
super
you.
excited.
So are we. Thank you.
We're super excited too.
All right. Thanks again, for real.
Thank you. At this point, we move on to the next agenda item, and it's reports on projects. And A is Public Art Projects Report, and B is the Rebound Report. And we invite Steve Huss from staff to do his presentation again.
Thank you, Chair Klauber. I have just a couple of brief reports about projects pending. As you all know, we do have a project pending for the Rudney Plaza, signature work on the plaza. And just a brief update about that, we have between 5 and 6 shortlisted artists. I should know the number, but one of them is baffling. But at least 5 artists who are shortlisted are preparing proposals at this time. Some very exciting artists. I can't reveal all the names yet. And they will be delivering those proposals by late May. We have a plan to have a selection panel meeting in June. If all goes to plan, we will able to bring this to you in July, at your July meeting. The panelists are folks that you approved in December 2019. We haven't confirmed them all yet. So that's exciting, and they're a very different group of artists. And they're from all sorts of different locations. So that's happening. Also want to just fill you in on a collection maintenance issue about the Veterans Memorial, the Veterans Memorial Plaza by Cliff Garton outside City Hall here. This project is 20 years old and it has some maintenance issues. If you've seen it close up recently, you'll note that it needs some work. We are in dialogue with Public Works about this and looking for solutions within budget. Some of the trees are dying. There's some blight there, and they're going to be replaced with another hardier variety of birch tree. The fountain basin has to be repaired, and the fountain pump has to be replaced. A lot of work that has to occur there. We have brought the artist back into the loop in the conversation. He will weigh in on any changes, particularly to the trees. That is really where the appearance might alter. So he's been re-engaged in that, and if you all remember, Cliff Garton's the same artist who did the Broadway Plaza Garage marquee. When he was in town for that a couple of years ago, he took another look at the So we've had a fairly recent view of the Veterans Memorial. So I'm just going to be working toward getting a meeting together with our Public Works folks who are actually spearheading the repair. So that's happening. On the horizon in private development, there's a restaurant called Ostro that is going to be occupying the building at Locust and Cypress that long ago was a Chili's restaurant. And I think that's coming for its first review to the DRC in May. So this will come to us after that. And I think, again, it will be a July meeting for you. And the applicant has actually selected a site and an artist. They've got a plan for a mosaic mural on the first floor exterior. And again, artist I can't reveal yet, but a very solid, very, very good professional public artist. So we do expect a consideration of the site and artist at your next meeting. If it pleases the chair, I can go ahead and with the rebound and then take any questions because it's not a very long report, or I could pause now for questions.
I think you can please move ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's sort of connected too. So with rebound, we are still working on one final mural for Union Bank. This is also partnering with Brian Harahara on this. Union Bank wall overlooking the Bounty Hunter outdoor dining area. Hopefully we'll be able to do this before rebound terminates. With that mural, we will have commissioned 4 temporary murals, not including the Duncan Arcade, which will be up much longer. So the city's plan, is my understanding, and Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, but is that there's a tentative reopening of downtown in mid-June, and a lot of the things that were temporary are going to go away, and that the rebound program and the powers will basically dissolve by, I think, by August. So in theory, this means that all the temporary rebound improvements and amenities will come out and come down. In theory. So what we are planning to do is to poll the owners of these properties regarding their interest in indefinitely leaving these murals in. That would need to be approved by the Arts Commission. So our plan would be to bring those existing murals that the owners want to keep to the commission in July for consideration to be grandfathered in for an indefinite lifespan. And we would welcome public comment at that time about anything the public would like to say about those murals, if they'd like to see them stay longer. And certainly the businesses too will have constituents who may want to weigh in on that too. And the only wrinkle is the one we've talked about already. That's the Roman Rudnev mural piece at Mel's, and that's really a permanent piece of artwork. It's just a question of where it's going to be. So it's not like it's going to get painted over. That's all I had for your consideration this time.
Thank you, Stephen. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff at this time? I have a question, and regarding the selection of the shortlisted artists for the Leisure Center. Can you talk to us about that short list? How did you get to 5 from, I think last time I heard we had at least 20 or so. So it must have been a tough selection process. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, we were looking at those artists. There's what we wanted to do. We're trying to really aim high with this project for some very much leading artists. And the best way to do that, of course, is to be able to say, we have a project for you and we're handpicking you. So what we were trying to be careful that it was not really just hyper competitive. And we really wanted to narrow it down to a pretty eclectic range and diverse range of artists that we could shortlist. So we were not going to probably, we were not going to solicit proposals from 20 artists. We also need to be able to compensate them adequately for an in-depth proposal, and these are artists that command a fairly high price. So we ended up on a number of, I think we narrowed it to 6. We'd had some consulting from ArtSource, so they gave us a short list of some artists we combined that with some artists that we'd reviewed before with the Public Art Committee and ended up with a hybrid of those lists. So we tried to pull it down to 6 strongest, and also that was quite a range in their mediums and their styles. That's how we came to that very short list.
And do we know at this point where the art piece is supposed to go, like what they will be building for?
What we did was to give them as much latitude as we could to come up with concepts and provided a number of locations. I would say that there is a site on the plaza a little bit west of the widest space, which is where their people congregate, a bit west of that, but visible from all locations, and fairly close to the actual entrance is probably the prime site. That's like the key site. But we also offered the possibility that art could be in the portico space, portico ceiling, courtyard, possibly on the facade. Number of locations that we talked about, I think, before with the commissioners. So the artists are grappling with all those options. I think maybe a lot of them are leaning toward a signature work that would be in one location, but there are some other very interesting wild cards too. I can't say more, but I think we'll be excited to see those when they are publicly visible to all of us.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have questions about that? Okay.
I have a question, not about that though. I would like to ask Steve something about the mural program. When, how much interaction do you have with an applicant on a mural, as far as when I know we really only have 2 examples now of at what point do they come to you and talk with you about concept?
So you're talking about a private, like the examples of tonight.
Yeah.
Private owner and a firm. They aren't really talking with me about concept. What they are doing is providing us the concept well enough in advance that we could flag things that might be problematic, and that's going to be, fairly limited in what we would flag. The things that would be clearly offensive, or not acceptable. Right. So these particular ones have come to us with a pretty much concept as a fait accompli.
Well, I guess
what we've done is to ask about is a lot of the kinds of questions that we anticipate will be asked by the commission that have to do with technical questions. How it's going to be painted, durability, graffiti issues, things like that. I'm sorry to cut you off, Commissioner.
No, that's okay. I'm just wondering how it works in terms of variety. So we now have a mountain, and we now have places identified in Walnut Creek. So how do we make our program grow enough that we get a lot of variety in subject matter? There's a real tendency to want to do something that says Walnut Creek. We went through that during the rebound program with some perspective murals. So I'm just looking for a way to make sure that we get a good variety of mural proposals now that maybe it's going to catch on. I hope it will. I think it's fabulous to pepper them all through the downtown. So I just wondered if anybody's given any thought to that.
Steve, I don't know if you want to comment on that or just take it under advisement.
I think just take that under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Commissioner Manuel, one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is, as we think about our liaison assignments, I've had a conversation with the chair about this, is we have two different forums where we can take some of these preliminary concepts. One is the Public Art Committee, which is where we shared the Mel's mural, and I believe the Ignacio Center mural. And then there's the mural and special projects liaison, which is where the chair has been assigned. So those two avenues, we wouldn't take them necessarily all together with three of the commissioners, but Steve and Emily and I can talk about what's the proper forum to have some of these conversations. So I think that's really good insight from you. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, and Commissioner Emanuel. I did notice that too, in our conversation where there seems to be some overlap of public murals in different commissions. So we should have some more conversations around that. Okay. Does anyone have any comments at this point? If not, then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is staff's announcements and brief reports on activities. So I think I'll be calling you back for this, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, we have two staff that wish to make comments, I believe, in addition to myself. So Emily Enders and Ailey Okasawara Garcia both wish to speak. I'll let them choose who comes in first.
Perfect. Hello, Emily and Maylee.
Miley, I'll go first. Good evening, Arts Commission. I just wanted to give you a couple of Bedford updates since it's been a while. And we were able to reopen at the end of March. So, we've been seeing a steady flow of visitors since then, and we'll be open with A Beautiful Mess through June 13th. And if you haven't had a chance to come and see it yet, I highly recommend it, of course. We're open now Thursday through Sunday from 12 to 5. And we have two upcoming workshops. One is a Shishiko workshop with our artist, Lisa Solomon, who is in our current show. That's taking place on Saturday, May 15th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And so you will be learning how to mend clothing with that workshop. And then our second workshop is on Thursday, May 20th from 5 to 6 p.m. with our Beautiful Mess artist, Hannah Perrin Mode, and you're going to be doing some line contour drawing along with some knot tying. So if you're interested in those, tickets are available on our website. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miley Ogasawara Garcia, and like Emily, I just wanted to give a report. It's been a while, and we are so excited to be welcoming back a bunch of our studio classes. After almost a year of being pretty virtual, we started off a little slow this spring, welcoming back a handful of classes in our studio and some open studio options as well. And we're looking to increase that for the spring quarter, which will be coming up in June, and anticipating that in the fall, we will have even more classes back in the studio. So it's very exciting for us. I think students and staff are just looking forward to getting to see people in person. And with that, we are also planning on working with our partners in Kita City once again this year. We are not going to be hosting any students from Japan. However, we will be offering a virtual summer arts exchange between students in Walnut Creek and also students from Kita City. And so they will be exploring digital media photography together. What will happen is that the students from Japan will be meeting together in one space, social distance, connecting with us virtually, and then students in Walnut Creek will be doing the same thing. So registration for that program will open soon in the summer. And finally, I just wanted to share that we're really excited to be working with the Contra Costa Office of Education, and we're providing 20 visual arts residencies currently right now to students across Contra Costa in different school day enrichment sites And additionally, we are just going to be starting to begin 5 additional residencies at the Marcus School. And we will be working in different classrooms there in ceramics and visual arts. The ceramics classes will be in person. The visual arts classes will be a hybrid. And in these residencies, we'll be working with teachers to serve their students who have special needs. So lots going on. We're very excited to be up and running. Thank you so much.
So I have just a few things, Chair. The first is building off of what Steve Huss had talked about with regard to rebound. At a future council meeting, which may even be the May 4th meeting, the council will be talking about what they're calling Downtown Next, which is what's the next iteration of post-COVID downtown revitalization. So that may include some of the murals and other activities that would have come up under rebound. So you can look forward to that if you choose to watch that meeting. Another downtown activity is what's being called Arts Around August. I believe that's right, Commissioner Cowdery, is the title of that activity, which is a series of events and activities to support downtown, linking with the arts in and around August. So you can look forward to seeing more of that, more promotion around that. But there are things such as the downtown painted pianos, more downtown stage activities, interaction with the Rudney Plaza, a plein air festival. So lots and lots of things that will be coming to downtown in August, which typically isn't a very busy month in downtown, but just another way to spark more activity in the downtown through the arts. You all participated in, I believe, a conversation with the DeVos Institute, the future of the Lesher Center. Thank you for being part of that. That project and study continues to roll. We'll be bringing back report at some point in the fall, so you'll have an opportunity to weigh in on that as we also look to reopen the Lesher Center. As Emily said, the gallery is open. We don't have a specific opening date yet for indoor activities in the theaters, but outdoors we'll start to see some activity on the Rudney Plaza in May, starting with some rehearsals for activities like the Walnut Creek Concert Band, and then some more indoor activities as we look to welcome back some of our longtime partners. So more to come on that for sure as we have some specifics. And then I just want to acknowledge that at some point we will have the opportunity as a commission and staff to come back together in the council chamber, which is where I am right now. I don't have a date on that yet, but I anticipate the council may start to meet mid-June, maybe their second meeting in June. They may have an in-person meeting. And then we'll probably have conversations amongst us as to what we want, as to whether that's all in person, whether it's a hybrid. I believe everyone will be given the opportunity every commission will be given the opportunity to come back and meet in person. We want to see how the council and those meetings go, but stay tuned. I appreciate, I talked to, I think, all of you about your opinions about coming back in person, and that will continue to evolve, but I'll keep you in the loop on that. Last thing for me is I want to share with you that for the past 19 years, I've had the pleasure of working with Cindy Hashimoto as my right-hand person and left-hand person in support of myself, in support of all of you, commissioners and staff in service to the community. You can probably guess where I'm going here. Cindy is retiring next month after, oh, there she is. Look at Cindy. So in fact, you know what? I'm going to stop talking and let Cindy say a few words.
Yeah, after 19 years, I'm going to be retiring, and I can't believe that I'm saying this. It all happened really, really fast. We are going to be moving down south. So yeah, I'm really going to miss working with everybody here in Walnut Creek, all of you commissioners. It's been a pleasure. I used to, from day one, I was doing Arts Commission meetings once a month here in the council chamber with, not you folks, but with the Arts Commission. So it's really going to be hard for me, but I'm looking forward to the next chapter in my life, and I will keep in touch, definitely.
Oh, wow, now what a surprise. It's been such a pleasure to know you. Whenever I've had any activity with the city, you've been such a positive touch, and you should know that that matters to everyone that you come in contact with. It's a beautiful gift that you have, and thank you for giving that to us in Walnut Creek. And best wishes to you. Wow.
So, yeah, it's a change. Lots of things have happened in this year, but all the staff really stepped up in the past year. The staff that you see, the staff that you don't see, to really help sustain our programs. But Cindy has been chief among them for keeping us all positive and all together, and not just supporting you, but supporting me personally. So I want to say thank you to her. And I guess it's official now. She said it in a public meeting, so it's part of the record. So, I guess you're really going. So I just want to let the commission know that how much we appreciate Cindy. So thank you. That's my report, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, if I think that we are at the end of our items.
You have one more item, which is the commissioner reports on activities, if you have any.
That's right. I am. I'm just trying to end this too soon, so I'm sorry about that. We do have item number 8, which is commissioners' announcements and brief reports on activities. So I will pick you, Fritz Brunner. Mr. Commissioner Brunner, will you go first, please?
Keep things brief. I will say I have nothing to report that's not brief.
Thank you. That was brief. Commissioner Cowdery?
Just have a few things, but I have a question for Kevin first. A while back when the city council asked about ideas about how to recruit future commissioners, etc., one of the ideas we had discussed was to have some type of presence for the commissions on social media so that the public could get more of an idea of what we do. And I think some of the things we just approved tonight are a perfect example of things that would be great to get out there on social media to help educate the public and now the youth about what it is we actually do at these meetings. So I'm wondering if any progress can be made on that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the specifics with regard to individual commissions and commissioners' social media. That said, I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't be pursuing that here from our perspective. In other words, sharing, hey, here's what the Arts Commission did. If we reflect on what some of the youth commissioners were saying. I've never been to a commission meeting, or I didn't know what you did. So I think that's an opportunity. I'll talk to Carolyn Jackson on our staff and see if she has any additional thoughts about that. But I think we had good stories to tell out of this meeting. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that reminds me, Glennis, of the comment that was made about the Mel's mural and how the artist is going to be live painting at. And then I was going to make a comment earlier, we ran out of time there. But I think if the city can make that into a bigger event for purposes of advertising what we do here in the Arts Commission, as well as advertising the Arts District, and because that doesn't just come together overnight, it takes a village, right, or work to make that happen. So I think that if possible, if we can think about if there's a marketing department that can help us put something like that together, it's sort of lined up with what Glennis is saying.
And without getting into too much detail, I think that aligns with the Art Around August concept, where that'll be taking place at the same time, and looking for some ways to promote that. So thank you for the suggestion.
Just a few other quick things related to art around August. I gotta get used to that new title. I am gonna be working with Karen Majors, who is part of the Historical Society, to put together a public art history walking tour. There'll be 4 different versions that people can print out online at home and do during the month of August. And so more to come on that. And then Commissioner Manuel and I have been helping to revive some of the rebound temporary art type things downtown, including the wishing tree and the yarn bombs, etc. And tomorrow I'm going to be installing 500 butterflies, origami butterflies, to replace the 1,000 cranes that are in front of City Hall. So hopefully they'll be up next time you go by City Hall.
Commissioner Emanuel.
First of all, I would like to give Cindy my best wishes. I saw her the other day and heard the news, but I think it's wonderful, and I know it's going to be exciting, and there's always something new and different out there in life, and we thank you so much for everything you've done for us. I also want to highlight Emily and Miley, because they have been under a tremendous amount of strain and stress, and reduced staff and reduced attendees, and it's just the worst thing that we can ever imagine that they've had to go through, and they've just come through it beautifully. And I wanted to thank them for their ingenuity on finding new ways to reach our patrons. It's been exciting. And I've been part of that with the gallery, because we've now been doing virtual videos and virtual art projects that we've been sending out to schools and kids, and keeping our name out there. And it's also been great for the brain cells. So that's what I've been up to, and we'll still keep working on the refreshing the yarn bombs, and I'll be working with the group on special walking tours for the month of August. So there's always something that we could do in Walnut Creek for the arts.
All right, Chair Clapper, can I add just one thing to add on to what Commissioner Emanuel said, which is about staff? The lecture center has been closed for pretty much a year. We say that the indoor theater facilities were the first to close and will be the last to open. So the staff there has been resilient, and I've had some staff that have not been working. We're looking forward to having them back, hopefully in July, under Scott's leadership. And Scott's been staying in touch with the staff that really haven't been in the building for a year. And I appreciate his work and role in keeping the staff connected to what we're doing. So, right, Commissioner Emanuel, it's been a challenge to stay in touch with our communities throughout. And so we're just looking forward across the board to coming back and being better and different, and just being again a part of the community. So again, I want to thank you for acknowledging that, Commissioner Emanuel, and then thank the entire commission for your continued support. So I'll stop talking now.
Commissioner Meredith.
Just a couple of things. Steve already touched on in terms of what the Design Review Commission is doing. Steve already talked about the restaurant, the old Chili's. And then 2 big projects that will be coming along is one is the Toyota dealership property. The council is going to be having a joint session with DRC and planning to talk about that project, and possibly it will be a mixed use project. So that'll be something that I'm sure the Arts Commission will get involved in at some point. And then the other big site will be the DMV site. So those are 2 big projects coming to the downtown that the commission will certainly have a part in. So that's it.
Can you talk a little bit about the DMV project? What does that entail?
Well, I don't think plans have been even put forward. I think that they're just in the beginning stages of discussing what's going to happen with that property. right now it's being used as an overflow lot for Mercedes.
Mhm.
But eventually there will be something going on unless Kevin or Steve know anything in terms of from staff, but I don't think there's been any proposals yet.
Okay, thank you. Well, I don't have any updates or any brief updates to follow Commissioner Bruner's footsteps. So I think this completes our journey of this meeting, and we can adjourn. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.